It might surprise you to know that the case of the Algerian boxer IMANE KHELIF, who will be fighting for the gold medal tomorrow in Paris, has been brought up at a meeting of the UN Security Council.
The 9,700th meeting of the Security Council.
The meeting was essentially about expanding the rights of women in the role of peacekeeping around the world, because UN peacekeepers are involved in many of the conflicts that take place, but it's overwhelmingly done by men. So this was a discussion around that many nations bought into and gave their perspective on. But the opportunity was taken to use that platform by the Russian Deputy UN Ambassador, Dmitry Polyansky. He accused the West of monopolising the Olympic movement and in pursuing an LGBT agenda which is damaging women's rights and dignity. Now, if you didn't think that this saga surrounding the Algerian boxer KHELIF, and to a lesser extent the Taiwanese boxer Lin Yuting, was not about a political move by the Russians and the Russian-controlled and financed International Boxing Association, then this might give you another perspective on that. Let's listen to the Russian Deputy UN Ambassador.
Thus, it's therefore hard to swallow the fine words and broadly correct arguments uttered by our Western colleagues when, to the detriment of the Olympic movement that they have essentially monopolised, at the Olympic Games in Paris, female boxers are being publicly subjected to violence on the part of athletes who had previously failed hormonal tests done by the International Boxing Federation. And according to the Federation and according to common sense, are men. This is absolutely repellent sight from all angles, shows what damage to women's rights and dignity is done by the LGBT agenda that the West so aggressively imposes on the rest of the world. We think that in many traditional societies, the impact of women, wives and mothers on political and social processes is done through ways hewn over centuries and can in fact be even much more effective than those done within the framework of liberal ideas.
Now, the senior diplomat for Algeria at the meeting was Taufik Qadri. He rejected the remarks by the Russian Deputy Ambassador and described them as a vague political agenda. Let's hear from the Algerian representative.
The representative of Algeria has asked for the floor to make a further statement, and I give them the floor. Algeria.
Thank you, Madam President. I apologize for taking the floor for a second time. However, my delegation did not wish for politics and sports to be conflated and mixed, especially in the context of the current Olympic Games. We have listened to an implicit reference, but it was very clear reference to an Algerian female athlete. I would like to stress the following. The courageous boxer, Miss IMANE KHELIF, was born a female. She has lived through her childhood and upbringing and adolescent years as a woman. She practiced sports as a full-fledged woman. There isn't a shred of doubt on that matter, except for those who have vague political agenda. In conclusion, I would like to refer everyone here to the Olympic Committee itself that has clearly and beyond any doubt and in a testimony that would silence all those who question our proud, courageous female athlete who is the granddaughter of free women of Algeria. I thank you.
So no matter which side of the fence or the debate or the argument that you stand on, and hopefully there are still some people in the middle trying to get to the bottom of all of these details, it really is important to think about the bigger picture here. And this is not some organic angst that has grown out of what was a boxing tournament at the Olympic Games in Paris 2024. It has been completely orchestrated from the start. Now, at the same time, we've also had the release of news here, care of Reuters, that the US anti-doping agency had, in some respects, taken the prosecution of anti-doping into its own hands, and that Americans who had tested positive and fallen foul of the anti-doping code were excused, told to keep quiet, were allowed to keep continuing to compete if they in turn provided feedback or whistleblowing information to the American agency. But that's a story for another day.